Welcome to the how-to video for water rockets. This is the finished product, set up and ready to launch. Alright, we're going to build the water rocket in 3 easy steps. We're going to build the fins, the cone, and then we're going to put the two together and have a finished rocket. These are the 6 pieces that you will need to complete step 1. We'll build the fins. First thing in step 1 is to get the white screw-on piece that goes onto the bottle and the black plunger that goes together with it, and put the two together. You'll notice that the plunger has a ring around it. We want to snap that ring through the white screw-on piece. We do that by pinching the plunger and pulling it through at the same time. When you're done, the plunger should look like that. It should be stuck through the white piece and solidly in the piece. Next, we want to put the fins on it. We do one fin at a time. Each fin has a slightly tapered piece at the top that slides into the white connector. Hold the white connector with the plunger facing down and bring the fins up from the bottom into the white connector. Sometimes the sides of the fins will have a little burr on it and they can be a little bit difficult to slide into the white piece. Just wiggle it a little and move it up until it's right flush with the top. Put all 3 fins in. Like that. All 3 fins should be flush with the top. Set it down. Take the O-ring. The O-ring goes inside the screw-on part, over the top of the plunger inside. And that's the end of step 1. Now that we've finished step 1, let's start on step 2, building the nose cone. To build the nose cone, we'll need 5 things: a rag, some glue, the bottom of the cone tube, and the top of the cone. Start with the bottom of the nose cone. Put a little bit of glue on the outside. Stick it into the tube. Either end is fine, and spin it as you stick it in there, and that will spread the glue on the inside. Use the rag to just wipe off the excess glue here at the top. Then take the top of the nose cone. Again, put a small bit of glue around the outside. Stick it into the tube, spinning it as you insert. Spreads the glue around. Use the rag, wipe off the excess glue, and our nose cone is done. For this step, we're going to need 5 pieces. We'll need our nose cone wrap, some Scotch tape, the fin assembly that we built earlier, the nose cone assembly that we built earlier, and our main fuselage plastic bottle. First thing we do is take the main body bottle and screw it into the fins. Screw it down tight. Set it back on the table. The next section, we want to mount the nose cone on top of the bottle. The straighter that we mount the nose cone, the better the rocket will fly. So if the cone is off, if the nose cone is off on an angle, the rocket will go that direction. So we want to try and make it as straight as possible. We start with some pre-cut pieces of Scotch tape, each cut at about 3 inches long. And we tape down the body of the rocket cone onto the main body, 1 piece of tape for each little fin or bump on the bottle. Just work our way around. It starts out loose and it gets tighter as we go. One thing to do with the kids is to work on this as a team. Have 2 kids work together, one holding the bottle and the cone while the other puts on the tape. Now, once you have 1 piece of tape going vertically on each of the bumps on the main body, we then take a piece of Scotch tape about 3 to 4 inches long, and we go around the nose cone area where the ends of the tape are. We put it on nice and tight, and then we take one more piece and we go around the main body, just like that. To hold on the cone. A simple rule of thumb when building water rockets, you can never use too much Scotch tape. The final part of step 3 is to apply the nose cone wrap to the area that we just taped on. You'll notice that the nose cone wrap is smaller on one side, bigger on the other side. The big end goes down by the bottle. The small end is up at the top. You simply wrap it around, put the two ends together, and start by putting one small piece of tape across the cone. This will get your cone started and allow you to do the rest of the tape work. Now we like to take about a 3-inch long piece of tape and run it right down the cone, right where the seam is. Then we take another 3-inch long piece of tape. We put it around the top, trying to get the nose cone tube taped to the nose cone support. Finally, one last piece of tape goes all the way around the bottom main body of the rocket and the paper support. This may take 2 pieces. As you can see, this part can be a little bit difficult for the kids to manage by themselves. You may have to help them to complete this segment. When done, the nose cone is now stable and affixed to the main fuselage of the rocket. And now we're done. We have a finished rocket. Now we're ready to launch our rocket. The first thing we do is fill it up with water. We want to put about 1/3 of the bottle full of water. We'll also need to then put our fin assembly back on the rocket and attach the pump and the tube to the rocket. So first we fill our rocket up, again about 1/3 water. An interesting experiment to try with the kids is using less or more water to see what effect it has on how high the rocket goes. Now once we screw the assembly back, the fin assembly back onto the main fuselage, be sure you don't turn the rocket over. If you turn the rocket over, water drips out. You might think that's funny, but a lot of kids will immediately turn the rocket back over and drain all the water out of the rocket. Next, take the little end of the pump assembly and you plug it in to the black piece sticking out of the bottom of the rocket. You must plug it all the way in until it's flush with the black plunger on the bottom of the rocket. Put the rocket on the ground, back up away from the rocket, make sure all the kids are at least 1 foot or 2 away from the rocket, and begin pumping. It usually takes about 5 or 6 pumps before the rocket launches. Let's look at a few common mistakes in part 1. First of all, oftentimes the black plunger gets put into the white receptacle backwards. You have to use the long part, goes in where the threads are, such that it is sticking out the back of the white piece. Remember, we're going to screw the white piece onto a bottle, and we want to have the long plunger sticking out the bottom so that we can connect the air source. Another common mistake is not pushing the plunger through far enough. If you don't squeeze and pull the plunger through such that this little catch ring is on the opposite side, the plunger will easily fall out and you'll lose your O-ring and your rocket won't work. So be sure when assembling the plunger that you squish it down and pull it through tight until the catch ring is on the outside of the white piece. Another common mistake is to try to put the fins on the wrong side. Remember, the fins are tapered and the holding side is tapered. If you try to put them in the wrong side, they won't go in all the way. Also, when you go to screw the bottle on, you can't do it if you have the fins in from the wrong side. So be sure you put the fins in from the same side where the plunger sticks out. Another common mistake is when putting the fins together, people like to slip them together this way and slide them on, thus not getting the fin totally in. Remember, the fin must come all the way from the bottom into the groove and pushed up to flush with the top. When the fin is flush with the top, the stopper on the bottom of the fin will be right up against the bracket. Let's talk about a few common problems in step 3. Probably the main one is not getting the nose cone support properly taped onto both the fuselage body and the tube for the nose cone. If you don't do that, the cone will not be tight and you won't have a stable rocket, and your support piece will slide up and down the cone. We want the support piece to be taped onto both the main fuselage body and the cone at the top. We also want one piece of tape on the entire seam of the nose cone wrap.